Hello everyone, Lady Rambles here again, and I thought today we might do a little arts and crafts project. What I have learned how to do quite a while back was create paper stars. They're actually really easy to make once you learn how to make them. And you can see you can make them in all shapes and sizes and colors and different types of arrangements. And the best thing is you don't really need a whole lot to do anything with them. All you have to have is some paper, and that's it. There are no other special items needed. A lot of places you can actually just print out your own patterns, so you don't have to buy paper. You don't have to get special paper made for you. You can even just use computer paper like I'm going to do here today. So let's get these off to the side. There we go. And I'm going to show you how to start making paper stars. So you can just use a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You can see I've selected a paper that's nice bright pink here, but you can use white paper just to practice if you want. And it helps a little bit if the paper's not too slippery, not too shiny. You want something that has, as you can see, a little bit of texture to it. Just a little bit, not too bad. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut some strips of paper from your computer paper. And you want about, I would say, maybe somewhere between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You want to try to keep them as straight as you can. You want to try to have a consistent width to them, if not between different pieces, at least along one sheet of paper, because it makes it a lot easier to do. And I think the end result is better too. And then if you want to do a lot of these, you can get yourself a paper cutter. And that's actually probably the best way to do this. In fact, I made some Christmas tree ornaments for my brother and my sister-in-law a few years back. You just get some of those clear plastic ornaments that you can fill with, various things. And then a couple of different sheets of, I got scrapbooking paper. And I just put them on my paper cutter and cut out a bunch of strips and fold them into stars and put the stars in the ornaments, and they really seem to like them because they're kind of neat. You can kind of really customize them in a lot of ways. For example, my sister-in-law is Jewish and my brother is Christian, and they put up a combination faith tree for the holiday season. So my brother's holiday ornament had more traditional Christmas colors, so red and green and gold. And then my sister-in-law's holiday ornament had more sort of like Jewish themed colors, so blue and silver. I think I found a really nice paper that had a lovely Star of David pattern on it. And she seemed to like that. So I think that's enough to start for now. Just got a couple of these. Just a couple of these strips. Let's get this out of the way for now. And actually, starting the stars is always the hardest part. So what you're going to do is going to take your strip of paper and you're going to pretend like you're almost going to tie a knot in it. So you can see I've just bent it over a little bit like this. So you can see sort of like the different ribbons people make for like breast cancer and things like that. You sort of want it to look like that at first. Then you're going to take your tag end and fold it through your loop. So again, it looks like you're going to try to knot this. You're not going to knot it, actually, but it looks like it. So get to about that point. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flatten it out on the table. And you're going to let it just sort of make an almost pentagon shape. So now we have a flat knot. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. So it should look a little bit something like that. So you can see I've got a little bit of a pentagon shape starting here. I've got my tag end. I've got my long end. And you take your tag end and you're going to just fold it over. This one's actually a little bit long, so I'm going to rip off a little bit of that extra on the end there and fold it over so that your tag end is now along the bottom of your pentagram here. So you can see there it's where it was. I just folded it along the bottom. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to make a little chubby pentagram. Pentagon, rather, not pentagram. And what you're going to do is you're going to take, again, this long tail, that long tail right there, and you're going to fold it over and follow the edges of your pentagram. So that's the first fold. So you can see long tail. I'm folding it straight over so that the bottom of that strip is aligned with the bottom of the pentagram. Then you flip it and you do it again. And you just sort of follow along the edges of the pentagram. It's going to seem very complex at first, but it gets easy a lot sooner. So you see again, just fold it over. You're pretty much always going to have a situation where you have the bottom, the paper strips along the bottom here, and you've got your little point up at the top there. So again, just take it, fold it over, fold it over, fold it over, fold it over. And you do that pretty tightly. It doesn't have to be super tight, but you don't want it to just fall apart. So once you've done that a few times, you should have a little paper pentagon, just like this. And you're going to have a little tag end, so you can see my little tag end over here. If this isn't long enough for you, that's okay. You have to learn and start and move a little bit. But you can just fold it in. So you see I have like a little pita pocket almost there. And I can fold my tag end and under there. So there you go. Now this is the, I would argue, hardest part of creating a paper star. And it's going to be hard for those of you who do not have fingernails. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to gently hold the star, and we're going to, along one side of the pentagram, or pentagon, put your fingernail in the middle of that side, and just very gently push. So very gentle push. And you're going to let paper sort of puff up. So I'm going to move this so you can see it a little better. So again, here, you just push gently, and you see, starting to get a star. Starting to get a star shape there. And you just do that for every side. Just give it a little push. Doesn't require a lot of strength. And eventually, you'll end up with something that looks a little bit like this. You'll have a paper star. And these are really fun because you can do a lot of different things with these. As I mentioned, you can do the ornaments that I did before. I've got a bunch of different patterns here that I've used before. You can kind of see all sorts of different shapes and sizes. I've got some really tiny ones, some really titchy itty bitty ones. These are hard to make, very difficult. I've got some bigger ones. So you can see here, that's a little bit larger, a little easier to handle. And some of these you can see I have patterns printed on them. So we've got a couple that have strawberries, a couple that have different characters from different things. We've got a couple of Space Invader ones. So really, you have a lot of options available to you when you do this. And again, it's really easy, it's fun, it's relaxing. Once you really get used to it, you can sort of do it anywhere. I've sold an awful lot of these sitting in front of the television, just sort of relaxing a little bit. I've seen people string these together to create ornaments. So sort of like a popcorn chain, but not. Instead you have a little star chain. I've seen some people do them so that they actually varnish them a little bit, and you can make some jewelry out of them. So I've seen people do paper star earrings, and I've seen people do paper star necklaces and things like that. I don't tend to do any of that. I'm a little leery of the whole idea of, you know, paper as a permanent crafting tool, but they are fun, they are pretty, and they are pretty easy to make. And I'll actually link what I think is a better tutorial. It's not necessarily a better ASMR tutorial video, but it's probably a better paper star making tutorial. I'll link that in the comments, or in the description for this video. And that way, you can both have your ASMR video of paper star folding, just watching it very calmly, very easily. Put that right up there. I think I'll fold a few more of these because I made a whole lot of strips. And it seems like a waste to just kind of have them sitting around here. So let's see. I can do that. Sometimes, actually, the first time I was ever exposed to these was a lot of years ago, back when I was a lot younger, and my dad did a lot of traveling overseas. And actually, the ladies who worked overseas, he was traveling to places like Hong Kong and Beijing and Sydney, but the ladies in Hong Kong gave him a little glass boot, which I know sounds crazy, but it's like a little boot-shaped container that were just filled with these little paper stars that they folded. And it was amazing because I'd never seen anything like that before. I couldn't figure out how they made them because they were all so tiny. They were much smaller than these. Much, much smaller than these. And that was just something that was so interesting. And then a few years later, once the internet came to be a thing, because this was back, again, before the internet was necessarily your go-to source. This was pre-YouTube era, which I imagine is a little difficult for many of you to remember. But pre-YouTube era. So I had really no idea of how to make them or put them together. And then one day I ran across a YouTube tutorial that was talking about folding lucky stars. And sure enough, those were those stars that I'd seen my dad bring home so many years ago. And I was just so impressed because I'd always been mystified by that. Sort of like, oh, that must be so hard to do. It must be so difficult to do. And then it's not really. It's really just folding and patience and learning how to do it until you're better at it. Practice. It's like anything else you do. You just practice and practice and practice, and eventually you'll get much better at it. So this is something you can do. Maybe you always wanted to do origami, but you are not particularly good at it. As myself, I enjoy origami. I'm not especially good at origami, but that's something that you could try to do. Is instead make these paper stars. I'm going to do these a little faster now and see if I can get these all finished up. I probably won't talk too much during this because, you know, it is kind of difficult to do two things at once. It's a little difficult to talk and concentrate on making these as fast as I can make them because, again, it looks like it's taking me forever to make each one, but that's mostly because I'm trying to talk and make them at the same time, which, again, not as easy as just focusing on them and making them. And if you really get into this, there are places that will sell actual star paper, so paper that's already pre-cut into strips for you, that is typically a little bit thinner, a little bit longer than using the standard 8.5 by 11 sheet. They have all sorts of patterns on them. Some of them are sort of like holographic, so you've got that effect. Some of them have sparkles. They're really, really pretty. A while back I ordered a package of them, and it was just sort of a grab bag of whatever that particular retailer had hanging around in their stores, hadn't been able to get rid of elsewhere. And some of the star papers they sent to me were actually patterned with Disney princess characters, which was kind of neat. I am not a huge Disney princess fan myself, but I have friends who are. So I folded those up and I put those together into, again, sort of like a little ornament for them. And they thought that was pretty neat. I do want to apologize for the quality of my images here, my webcam and everything. Unfortunately, don't have a whole lot of control over that right at this moment. Budgets are a little bit tight, so I can't actually upgrade a whole lot. But fortunately, mic pickup works pretty well. And I don't know, maybe this is sort of like the rustic version of ASMR videos. This is the, you know, the grassroots ASMR videos. No, I just have a new, oh, that one turned out really well. Look at that one. That one was really nice. Put that one right there. Here's last strip. Let's make it here. Then making that little knot. Alright, I think that's a little long. Let's get rid of that. Here we go. There you are. It's another star. Pushing those edges one more time. Oops. It occurs to me someday I should get a really big piece of paper and do this so people can actually see, because it's really difficult to see because you've got your fingers all over it all the time, which makes it hard to teach other people how to do because it's a little difficult to see what people are doing. But yeah, that's your paper star quasi-tutorial ASMR video. And again, I'm Lady Rambles, and I hope that was an enjoyable experience for you. So again, I'm Lady Rambles. If you saw something or heard something that you liked, please head down to the comments and let me know. If you heard or saw something that you didn't like, again, you can go down the comments. I also have a Twitter account at Lady Rambles, and I have a email address, which is ladyramblesOn@gmail.com. So just let me know, and if you ever have any suggestions or requests for what I do next, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. Thanks. Have a good night, guys.